All right, what's up, everybody? It's Louie here again, here to break down Vegas 26. But real quick from last week, your boy went 4-1-1, one draw, didn't count. I got 4 right, I got 1 wrong. The one I got wrong was the main event, relatively close fight. I thought it was a hell of a fight. I said it wasn't going to be a banger. It was a banger. You know, Prochazka was taking it to Reyes, but Reyes was backing up against the fence and hitting him with some straight shots. And Prochazka even said in some of the interviews that Reyes had him out for a second or two. I think Reyes could have won that fight. He had him hurt, but he fucked up going for that guillotine. Reyes' ring IQ is not good, but it is what it is. It was a good fight. It's the only one I got wrong, so I'm hoping to keep the momentum going here. We got a decent offering here. Obviously, it sucks. The main event was going to be amazing. Corey Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw. TJ Dillashaw gets a cut on his eye, can't fight. They got a last-minute replacement, Marina Rodriguez and Michelle Waterson. Not my favorite, but you know what? It's a relatively important matchup in women's strawweight, which is a very exciting division right now, so it's going to be good. And then Cowboy and Sanchez. Sanchez fell out. That sucks, but we get to see Donald Cerrone, and it's going to be an exciting fight. So I'm ready to break these fights down. I think I got a good read on this card, and let's make some goddamn money. For tonight, we got a fun women's scrap at 115 pounds strawweight. We got Amanda Ribas taking on Angela Hill. Amanda Ribas' last fight, she took on Marina Rodriguez, who is fighting in the main event. And in that fight, the first round, she gets the body lock takedown to full guard, but she didn't really do any damage with it. Rodriguez was kind of piecing her up on the feet a little bit, but she was able to get the takedown. And then the second round, she gets dropped with a right cross, and then, I'm sure you saw it. She was knocked out, basically, but Herb didn't stop it. So poor Amanda Ribas got knocked out twice. But, yeah, she got dropped with a straight right, and then Rodriguez finished the job when she was already wobbled, is what it is. But before that, she looked good on the ground, but Rodriguez hit her with a big shot. And looking at her last fight against Paige Van Zant, not the best competition, but still something to draw from. In the first round, she utilized the tie clinch to get the head and arm takedown, and then she was into the scarf roll position, and then she transitioned to an arm bar from her back and tapped out Paige Van Zant. She's able to scramble, and she's pretty good on the ground if she gets there. And, I like what I saw out of her past 2 fights. Angela Hill, her last fight she took on Ashley Otter. In the first round, she threw 2 right hands, and then she gets the clinch up against the fence, and then she's able to defend the head and arm throw that Ashley Otter was going for the whole fight but could not get. She also lands a counter overhand right, and then she landed 3 straight rights up against the fence. And then she snapped Ashley's head back, actually. So Angela Hill, she's not a knockout puncher, but, she does throw some heavy shots low-key. On the second round, she presses her up against the fence and lands several right hands, and then she utilizes the underhook and the tie clinch again to knee to the body up against the fence. However, whenever she would do that later on in the fight, you could see that she gets taken down. But she lands the knees to the body, and then she lands a punch flurry up against the fence, and then she threw a straight right to the body, which is nice. You see her mixing up her shots. But then, like I said, she gets taken down from the tie clinch, because Ashley Otter's pretty good on the ground. Then she just went a little wild with the knees. Poor ring IQ. And then in the third round, she reverses the clinch position and then presses Ashley up against the fence. And then she utilizes the right underhook position to frame off and throw knees and punches, which I really like because you lock her in that position. But then again, toward the end of the fight, she gets taken down. She just throws a barrage of knees, which she didn't need to do because she was winning the fight, and Ashley is really good on the ground, so not the best ring IQ. And then we're going to take a look at some from her last fight versus Michelle Waterson, who's also fighting the main event. I had to look at Waterson's fight, so I figured I'd just throw this in here. It was a pretty back-and-forth fight. In the first round, Michelle gets hit with the overhand right from Angela, but then she throws a heavy leg kick. And then Michelle goes for the body lock takedown, but Angela's able to stuff it, which is going to be important against Ribas. And then Angela clinches to the fence and hits her with knees. That's her go-to, basically. And then in the second round, Angela was able to hit her with a straight right that actually wobbled her a little bit. And then Angela's actually able to defend a single leg takedown but she gets clinched up against the fence. And then Michelle lands a hard straight right, and then she's able to blitz forward on Angela with the 1-2. In the third round, Angela lands a knee to the head, but Michelle gets the body lock takedown in half guard. So, Angela Hill doesn't have the worst takedown defense in the world, but it's not the best either, so something to consider there. And then there's a scramble position, But Michelle's able to maintain back control, and she's able to like pin her up against the fence and hit her in the head. And then in the fourth round, Michelle shoots a double, but Angela's actually able to defend, so she learns a little bit from that. And, she's able to stay on the outside of Michelle and basically stop her before she even gets in, kind of like down block. She already knows it's coming, so she does learn throughout the fight. And Angela's able to defend with the whizzer on the fence, and then Michelle lands a side kick to the face. So Angela's got to watch out for that. And then in the last round, Angela's able to stuff the high single attempt, and then she lands a 1-2. But then Michelle lands a right cross on the return. And then Michelle throws a 1-2, and then a leg kick. But Angela's able to land a counter left hook off of her straight right. And then Angela lands a straight right as Michelle's moving forward. And like I said, it was a pretty good back and forth battle. Michelle Waterson won the split decision. I don't know if I agree with it. Can't disagree with it. It was that close. But here's my deal. Amanda Ribas, yes, she has trouble with the power punching, and Angela Hill does hit semi-hard, but she's not a knockout puncher. I think Rodriguez is gonna, I think Ribas is gonna be able to take her shot. I think Ribas is gonna be able to take her shots, and I think she's going to be able to get her down to the ground. I think that's what it comes down to. I think Ribas is going to be able to clinch her and just get her to the ground. I think she's going to take some shots getting in there, but I think she'll be able to eat them from Angela Hill. She might get rocked a few times, but I don't think she's going to get knocked out. And then we take a look at the betting line. Ribas is minus 190. Angela Hill is plus 150. That's a little close because I really don't over anything minus 200 is kind of like you really got to take a second look at it. Angela Hill, her last fights, yeah, she's lost her last couple, but they've been super close. And she did look good against Yoder. Throwing the knees and the tie clinch, that just shows poor ring IQ for me. And I think Ribas, I think she did look good against Rodriguez until she got clipped. I think she's going to work on her defense and stay on the outside and just go for takedowns. So my pick here is Amanda Ribas. Second fight, we got a fun matchup at lightweight 155 pounds. We got Diego Ferreira taking on Gregor Gillespie in his return. It's been like almost 2 years since we've seen that guy fight. Diego Ferreira, his last fight, he took on Beneil Dariush, elite in the division. I think he's going to be Tony Ferguson, but we'll talk about that next week. Anyway, in the first round of that fight, he went for an omoplata attempt off of a single leg, but he was able to get back to his feet with it, which is good so he can scramble a little bit. And he lands a straight right as Beneil's moving forward, but then he gets hurt with a knee to the body. And then he takes a bad shot attempt because he's hurt, and then Beneil gets on top and is able to ground and pound. But, Ferreira is able to get up after a little bit. He doesn't get smothered on the ground. And then he lands a hard 1-2 and then a front kick to the face of Beneil. And in the second round, he lands a 1-2 with straights and hooks. And then he's able to get the body lock. But he gets taken down with the body lock up against the fence with that inside trip. And he takes some ground and pound damage. And then Darius is able to get standing back control, kind of like the backpack a little bit. But then he's able to get out of there. But then he gets double-legged again, so his takedown defense isn't the greatest. And then in the third round, he's able to defend the takedown, but then toward the last minute of the fight, he gets double-legged and controlled for the rest of the round. And the third round was back and forth. But Beneil's story of that fight was Beneil was just able to get the takedowns on him. That doesn't look good when you're fighting Gregor Gillespie. But we'll look at Gillespie's last couple fights. His last fight, he took on Kevin Lee. Didn't go good for him. In the first round, he looked all right, though, man. Before the big head kick, he utilized his left jab, and he would stick and move. But then he gets hit with the hard right bite from Kevin Lee. And then Kevin Lee he hits him with the overhand right off of Gregor's jab, and then just left leg kicks him to hell, knocks him the hell out. It was tough to watch. But, he looked decent on the feet for as long as it lasted. And then his fight before that, he took on Yancy Medeiros, where he looked very good. This is the classic Gregor Gillespie. In the first round, he gets the high single to back control for the whole round, basically. Just Matt returning him and getting that cross wrist. Looks like a wrestling match. Not the most exciting, but it works. The dude dominated him for the whole round. And then in the second round, he's able to get a single leg takedown from space, and then he's able to get back control. But then this is where he picks up his pace, and he's able to make some transitions on the ground. He gets the side control and then a full mount and delivers some hard ground and pound, like he's trying to finish this fight. And then there's like less than 10 seconds left, and he has the full mount from the back position and just unloads on him and gets the TKO finish in the last 2 or 3 seconds to go. So I was just really impressed. Working like performance from him. And we take a look at the betting line, and Diego Ferreira's plus 165, Diego Ferreira's plus 165, Gillespie's minus 210, and like I said, that's right on 200-ish, but you know what? Gillespie, I think this is his fight. You saw in his last fight that Ferreira has trouble with the takedowns, and guess what? That's all Gillespie does is take down, you know? I think he's going to be able to withstand his shots. I think he's healed from the Kevin Lee knockout. I like Gillespie. I think he's going to dominate here. Minus 210 isn't that bad of a price for somebody who dominates for 3 rounds. My pick is Gregor Gillespie. Our third fight on the main card, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of a trash fight at heavyweight 285. We got Maurice taking on Rogerio de Lima. This fight doesn't mean anything. Hopefully there's a knockout. That's all I can say about it. Anyway, Maurice, his last fight, he took on Greg Hardy. In the first round of that fight, he got his leg caught and dropped with a straight right. And then Hardy's able to move on to half guard. But then they're back up on the feet. He utilizes the jab and the switch stance with the lunging 1-2. Hit Hardy a couple times. Not really much to talk about there besides that. He lost the first round convincingly. And then in the second round, he gets dropped with a lead jab, or they call it a screw jab. Basically, Hardy just lunges in with his jab and hits him like in the mouth-nose area. And he drops him and just TKOs him, unloads on him, and finishes it. Maurice protests the stoppage. It didn't matter. He was out. And then Rogerio de Lima, his last fight, he took on Alexander Romanov, who is, I believe, an elite heavyweight. And in the first round, he gets double-legged immediately, but that's okay because Romanov is really good at that. But he's able to escape because Romanov's in an arm triangle position. He's able to push off and circle out. And he's able to land some hard, frantic hooks where he's just thrown kind of wild. And then he lands the hooks as Alex enters to clinch, but then he gets clinched up against the fence, which you don't want to be there with Romanov. But he's able to defend a high single for a second, but then he gets body lock tripped, and he gets taken down to the half guard, and he gets subbed from a forearm choke. Literally just puts his forearm onto his neck because Romanov is a monster. And does that. Not the best look for him, but let's take a look at the betting line. Maurice plus 150. Marcos is minus 190. And, Maurice I don't like him as a heavy, I don't think he's a good fighter at all. And Marcos didn't look good in his last fight, but he took on elite competition. Maurice took on Greg Hardy, who is decent, but he's not elite. And I like the little bit I saw out of Rogerio, and I like his power. I think if he can stop the takedowns, I don't think if Green can even take him down. I like that. So, minus 190 is not a bad price. I think Rogerio is going to be able to keep it on the feet, and if it's on the feet, I think he has more power. I think he'll be able to knock Green out, and so my pick is Marcos Rogerio de Lima. Fourth fight, the feature fight of the night, we have a good fight at 170 pounds. We got Magny taking on Neal. We got some Neal on Neal crime. Terrible dad joke. Please, God, forgive me. Anyway, Magny's last fight, he took on Chiesa, but Chiesa's more of a grappler, and Neal is more of a power puncher. So I took a look at his fight against Robbie Lawler because he's more similar to Neal than Chiesa is. And in that fight, I made a note that Magny likes to skirt along the outside of the fence and try to draw them in and hold, jab and move, and then try to wrap them up in the clinch up against the fence. So in the first round of that fight, Robbie Lawler takes a shot, he's able to defend, and he gets a three-quarter Nelson, and then he gets to the backpack position and then gets back control, and he's able to clinch on the fence and with that double leg position for the most of the round. Not a lot of big shots thrown. In the second round, he's able to kick him with the left leg head kick, and then he gets a takedown up against the fence, and then he's able to get back control yet again. And then Lawler escapes, but Neal uses the tie clinch, and he knees it to the body on the fence. Like I said, he likes to utilize that fence and just really go to work there. And then he's in and out with his jab, with his back up against the fence. And then in the third round, he pulls guard whenever he's getting hit hard in an exchange, which, that could be tricky, but I think it worked well for him here because it was the beginning of the round. He does that and just pulls guard and just locks up so the ref will stand it up, which is kind of smart, I guess. But then Lawler lands 1-2 and then a knee to the body, but then Neal hits him with the head kick. But then he gets the double leg up against the fence, and then he gets into back control again, and then uses a tie clinch again. He hits him with the 1-2 and then a knee to the head. Then he lands a jab and moves back towards the fence, but then he tie clinches Lawler up against the fence to end the round, and he wins all 3 rounds. Pretty smart game plan from Magny. And then Neal, his last fight, he took on Stephen Thompson. And in the first round, he presses forward and throws combos up against the fence. But, Wonder Boy is able to stick and move and evade him. Kind of like, I hope Magny's going to fight like that. And then in the second round, he throws a 1-2, but then he gets clinched against the fence. And then he gets hit with the right cross whenever he enters. And then he gets hit with the head and body kicks while he's standing at kickboxing range with them. So he would stand up like this at range, and then Thompson would be able to kick him. So he just kind of stands there stationary for a second or two, and Thompson was just too fast. And then he gets hit with 1-2s whenever he's pressing him toward the fence. And then in the third round, he lands the overhand left, and he presses Wonder Boy to the fence, and he lands with the right, and then he's clinched up against the fence. But then he gets head kicked and hit with a barrage while he's entering. Like I said, Jeff Neal's a little bit too slow against Wonder Boy, and I think he'll be a little slow against Magny. And then in the fourth round, he gets hit with a flurry and then a right cross as Wonder Boy exits, and then he gets hit with a lead-in elbow a few times whenever he's standing at range with Thompson. But then he's able to clinch him up against the fence for the last minute, which was good, but too little too late at that point. And then in the fifth round, he throws 2 jabs, then a left hook, and then he blitzes Wonder Boy towards the fence, but Wonder Boy throws a kick and then circles out. And then he lands a counter right and a few hooks, and then the exchange, and then he lands a hard 1-2 in the last 30 seconds of the fight. So he really poured it on the last 30 seconds, but it wasn't enough. Wonder Boy's too fast, too elusive for him, and I think Magny's going to be able to do a similar game plan, but I think Magny's going to be a little better in the clinch. I think Magny's going to be able to press him up against the fence, clinch him, probably get a couple takedowns, and it's only three rounds, so if Magny comes on strong for one of them, if Neal comes on strong for one of them, Magny's only got to win 2 of them, and he can barely win those 2, and he's a pretty smart fighter. I think he's able to do that. Take a look at the betting line. We got Neal Magny at plus 160 and Jeff Neal at minus 200. I think that's a mismatch line. I think, Magny didn't show good IQ in his last fight against Chiesa. He was pulling him on top of him, basically, and Chiesa's the better grappler, and I get that. But Jeff Neal is not known to be a grappler, so I think this is Magny's fight to win. He does well against power punchers. My pick is Neal Magny at plus 160. Main event, we do have a banger at 170 pounds. We've got Donald Cerrone taking on Alex Morono. Not as good as Diego Sanchez, but still a fun fight and a winnable fight for Cowboy Cerrone. I'm going to take a look at their common opponent, Anthony Pettis. In the first round of the Pettis-Cerrone fight, he's able to throw a right hand, and he gets around the back of Pettis as he's coming forward. He gets hit with the left leg head kick, but then he gets the takedown into side control. Doesn't do much with it to get back up to the feet. But then he lands a 1-2, and then he gets hit with the hard counter right moving forward. And then the second round, he lands a straight lead left, but then he gets hit with the left hand coming forward. But he's able to get the high single takedown from space, doesn't do much with it. But it's still always good that he can throw the takedowns in there. A lot of people just think he's a straight striker, but he can get the takedown when he needs to. He's decent on the ground. In the third round, he rushes in. He gets hit with a straight left, but then he lands a left head kick of his own, and then followed up by a 1-2. And then he catches the body kick, and he clinches on the fence, and then he lands a couple knees to Pettis on the body. He gets hit with the right hook, and then he gets backed up with the barrage of punches. But then toward the end of the fight, he lands a right head kick, and then they get into a firefight. He gets clipped with the 1-2 as he's moving forward. But, Cowboy, he goes for it at the end. Close competitive fight, loses a decision. I think it could have went either way, honestly, but I think he looked good. And then Morono versus Pettis. In the first round of that fight, Morono's able to get the back control off of a slip from Pettis when he throws a kick. He gets put in a triangle, but he's able to escape out of there. And then back up on the feet, he lands a 1-2 as he's charging forward, and he gets behind Pettis and pulls him down. But Pettis is able to reverse the position. It wasn't completely dominating first round from Morono, but he was able to control Pettis for the majority of the round, so he got that round pretty easily. But then in the second round, the tide starts to turn. He gets hit with a counter left hook off of his own right hook, and then he gets hit with the right hook as he's blitzing forward. And then in the third round, he gets hit with a left head kick from Pettis, but he hits a duck under to get to the back control, but Pettis hits him with a Granby and reverses. And then they get back up to the feet, and then he gets hit with the uppercut as he's moving forward, and he gets rocked with a spinning back kick toward the end of the fight. So Morono, he looked really good that first round, but he still got basically pieced up by Pettis for the second 2 rounds. And, Cowboy, like I said, he looks pretty good against Nico Price. It was a draw with that eye poke, which means he won a couple of other rounds. And he's not as washed as people think he is. I don't think Morono is very good, considering Pettis just lost his fight in PFL. Pettis isn't that great either. You look at the betting line, Cowboys minus 180 and Morono's plus 145. It's always a risk betting on Cowboy at this point, but it's under 200, and I like what I saw out of him. I think he's live here. I think he's motivated. Minus 180 for Cowboy. I don't think that's that bad, so my pick is Donald Cowboy. So we've got a pretty fun main event at women's strawweight, 155 pounds. However, it's being fought at 125 pounds because the short notice of the fight, and that's real quick note, that's really bad for Michelle Waterson because she used to fight at 105 pounds, so she's basically up 2 weight classes, but it is what it is. This is a decently important fight for the title picture. Marina Rodriguez, her last fight, she took on Amanda Ribas. I'm just going to rehash it real quick. In the first round of that fight, she lands the overhand right, and then she circles away. She gets taken down with the body lock as she's throwing the 1-2. And then in the second round, she throws the overhand right, then gets the tie clinch knee to the body, and then she drops her with the 1-2, knocks her out twice, but she knocked her out. She has a lot of power. She looks pretty good. And then in the fight before that, she took on Carla Esparza. Carla Esparza, I believe, is the best wrestler in that division. Now that Suarez is out of the picture for the time being. In the first round of that fight, she gets taken down with the high single almost immediately. But Esparza goes for the ankle lock and with stupid decision. And then that allows Rodriguez to reverse to position. And then she's able to land some heavy elbows on Esparza. And then back on the feet, she lands a head kick and then a straight right. In the second round, she's able to down block and stay at range a little farther out from Esparza to be able to take her down. She stuffs a couple of takedown attempts with the down block, but then eventually she gets double leg from space, but she's able to escape whenever Carla goes for the ankle lock again. Poor IQ from Esparza, but at least Rodriguez is able to take advantage of it. And then in the third round, Carla gets the high single leg takedown, and they're in a kind of a scramble position up against the fence, but Esparza has the leg, and then she's able to hit her in the head up against the fence and do some damage. And then they get back to the feet, but then she gets doubled from space again, and they sit in full guard for over 2.5 minutes, about half the round. And then Rodriguez is able to set up a triangle toward the end, but nothing comes of it, and that's the end of the fight. She gets ridden out, basically, on the ground. But, she did the shots Marina was able to land on Esparza. She fucked her up. She was bleeding. She had Esparza had hematoma. It wasn't an easy fight for Esparza. She just needs to figure out how to stop the takedowns. And then Michelle Waterson's last fight, she took on Angela Hill. Just going to rehash that one from her point of view again. In the first round of that fight, she gets hit with the overhand right, but then she throws a heavy leg kick. And then she goes for the body lock takedown, but Angela's able to stuff it. But then she's able to land a front face kick. But then she gets clinched up against the fence and hit with the knees. Angela Hill's classic tie clinch. And then in the second round, Angela hits her with a straight right, and she gets wobbled for a second, but then Angela defends a single up against the fence. But then Michelle lands a hard right, and then Michelle bitches forward with a 1-2, and then a leg kick. And then in the third round, Angela is able to land a knee to her head, but Michelle gets the body lock into half guard. But then there's a scramble, but Michelle is able to maintain back control, and then she lands some hard shots, and then they get back into half guard. And then in the fourth round, Michelle shoots a double, but Angela's able to defend it with the whizzer up against the fence, and Michelle lands a side kick to the face. And then in the fifth round, Angela stuffs the high single, and then she's able to hit her with the 1-2, but Michelle lands a nice right cross in the exchange, and then Michelle throws a 1-2, and then a leg kick, but Angela lands a counter left hook off of her straight right, and then Angela lands a straight right as Michelle moves forward down the fight. So basically the story of this fight, how I see it, Rodriguez, she's susceptible to being taken down. Michelle Waterson can take people down, but she only took Angela Hill down one time. She was able to pressure up against the fence. And Michelle Waterson doesn't hit terribly hard. Rodriguez does. We just saw her knock Ribas the hell out. Take a look at the betting line. Michelle Waterson plus 175. Marina Rodriguez minus 215. I know that's a tricky line, but you only really bet on the underdog in a women's fight if they're not that great and you haven't really heard of them. You don't know what the potential is. This is a high-level fight. It's a main event fight. And whoever wins this is going to be a serious contender in the strawweight division. And I think Rodriguez knows she needs to work on her takedown defense. I think she's addressed it. I think Michelle Waterson's a decent wrestler, like I said, but I don't see her being able to take Rodriguez down. If she does take her down, I don't see her being able to hold her down. I think Rodriguez hits a lot harder. I think she's going to be able to stick and move. I think she's going to do some damage to Michelle on the feet. My pick is Marina Rodriguez. Right, everybody, thank you for listening to my breakdown again. Like I said, I've been on a winning record these past 3 cards, 4-1-1. last weekend, not too bad. If you're listening to me and taking my betting advice, you're making some money, hopefully, unless you throw it all on the ones I got wrong. But anyway, I appreciate everything. I appreciate you guys listening to me. You know, like I said, if you're a casual, come here. I don't try not to go horribly long. I try to make it somewhat simple. These are just my thoughts at a basic high, you know, like a base level, broad strokes. But I do research. You know, it's not just bullshit. I try to do as much as I can as a regular person would. But anyway, if you're able to, please subscribe to my channel. You can like or dislike the video, actually. I don't care. If you dislike it, just leave a comment and tell me why you dislike it, because I'm trying to get better. I know these videos aren't the highest quality. I want to get there. I want to do better. But, you know, also have a conversation with me in the comments. Tell me what you like about my videos, what you dislike, or just chat with me about MMA, who you're picking. If you disagree with me, tell me why. We can get into a debate about it or whatever. All in good spirits, though. I'm always looking to have a conversation. But I appreciate you guys rolling with me. Follow me on Twitter and Snapchat. That will be in the description. And thank you guys. And let's win some more money.